Hello. Hey, if you have 10 minutes, you can help me celebrate someone in the music industry. Welcome to 10 Minutes with Todd at Beyond 615. Oh, I can't stand that glare. Does that help? Okay, that's not fashionable. My name is Todd Stach. I'm a coach. I'm a consultant at Beyond 615. It's a company that I started back in March of this year. And I'm also the contemporary Christian music format editor at allaccess.com. So a lot of music comes from the 615, which is the area code for Nashville. And this is about celebrating someone in the music industry, radio person, record label, an artist, someone in the audio space like tonight. But we only have 10 minutes to do it. So this is episode number 20. And today's guest is author and podcaster of Read to Lead. His name is Jeff Brown. Accepting the request to go live. Hey, dude. We're live.
Don't mind me. I'm just puffing on a cigar.
All right. So you're in your backyard. All right. Hey, good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. I'm glad to be here.
Your Wi-Fi's good, okay? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm waving at a couple people. I got to set my timer. Hold on. Set a timer for 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes and counting.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a great evening in the 615 for sure. You have an interesting journey into radio. I'd love for you to share about that journey for those who don't know you, because you've been out of radio for a few years.
Yeah, the journey into radio, the journey out of radio, or both?
Let's just go with the journey into radio now.
Yep. Yeah, I dropped out of college and wasn't sure what I was going to do with my life. And about 3 years later, I sort of fell into radio. I used to play DJ when I was a kid in my room, and I thought that'll be something fun to try. I could probably get a job sweeping the floors or something like that. And just kind of found my way into a station doing anything they would let me do, board hopping, that sort of thing. And one thing led to another, and I finally got on the air, and 9 months into my first job, I got canned because I said stupid stuff on the air because I thought it was all about me and not about the artists whose music I was playing. And after I lost my first radio job in 9 months, I thought my career was over. I found Jesus a couple days later and landed at a Christian radio station 2 weeks after that. And I spent the next 25 years of my 26-year radio career in Christian radio.
I feel like you were at a record label for a short time too, weren't you?
Yeah, I stepped away from full-time radio from 96 to 2000. I moved to Nashville at that time, and I've been here since 96, and worked at Murr Records and represented. And I helped launch Jackie Velasquez to radio, and Amy Grant's Behind the Eyes. Anyway, Behind the Eyes. And it's been too long. I'm getting old. Anointed's Under the Influence, Brian Duncan's Blue Skies. Those were some of the records that I worked back in the day.
How about Avalon? Were they on Murr?
No, they were on Sparrow, I think. EMI Sparrow, okay. I believe. Yeah.
Different label. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So you were in radio, and like a lot of people, including myself, you wake up one day, go to work, and you're no longer needed at your job, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. Kind of feels like it at the time, but somehow, some way, in the early stages of podcasting, I feel like, unless that's not true, I found like you just started like this podcasting thing, and it's like what you do full time, and it's wildly successful. So talk about the transition from radio to the early stages of podcasting.
Yeah, I was fortunate in the sense that before I got let go from my last radio job, I had already begun planning a podcast. I had the idea come to me just a few months before the radio gig would end, unbeknownst to me at the time. And it happened, the launch of the podcast just happened to coincide with, 1 month after I got let go. In fact, I do an interview-based podcast, and I had my first interview scheduled for June the 19th of 2013. I remember that because I got let go 2 days before that on June the 17th. So wow. 2 days after getting let go, I'm doing my first podcast interview that had been scheduled for weeks, right? So I thought, well, I'm just going to go ahead with this plan and see where this thing goes. In the meantime, I've got some severance. I've got a side hustle. I can do that for a little while. So it took me 6 or 8 months to figure it out, a little on-ramp time. But after about 8 months, Todd, I started, creating products and services and courses that came out of my brain, and a few years prior to all that, I didn't believe that I would be capable of doing that. But for years I'd been reading books and challenging myself and mindset and that sort of thing. And a couple of years before this firing came or this downsize came, I had begun to believe that, well, maybe I could do that. And so when I got the shove of being let go, I'm like, well, maybe this is the time to try this now. As good a time as any. And so I did, and I haven't worked a regular job ever since. So here we are.
That's amazing. And you created this Read to Lead brand.
Yeah.
And you have some core principles in that. And we'll get to the book that's coming out here later this month too. But talk about the whole Read to Lead concept and how that was birthed and what you believe in that, because it's fascinating.
Yeah, a guy that we both know by the name of Matt Austin helped reignite for me my love for reading that had been dormant since I was a kid. School kind of educated out of me the desire to read because I had to read things I didn't want to read for so many years. And I left school going, thank goodness I don't have to learn anymore. That lasted about 10 years. And Matt introduced me to Seth Godin and John Maxwell and Jim Collins and Pat Lencioni and Liz Weissman. And this was about 2003, and I just ate it up. It's like, when the student is ready, the master appears kind of a thing. And so fast forward 10 years, I've been reading voraciously for 10 years, and it just dawns on me one day that this podcast idea I've been looking for has been right under my nose all this time. I already read a book a week. Most podcasts are weekly. I'd probably do a weekly show if I was going to do one. Why don't I do a podcast interviewing authors, business book authors predominantly, leadership, mindset. I mean, a lot of different topics fit within that realm. And, hey, I could talk to them about their books. I could share what I'm learning with other people. I could get free books in the process. I already feel like, this is a habit more people need to cultivate. And maybe my podcast could be an on-ramp for some people who are struggling to cultivate that habit, and sort of an audio Cliff's Notes of the book kind of a thing. So that was kind of the impetus of it. And it's just, it's just grown from there.
Yeah, it's really good. If you don't know Jeff Brown, and that's a very common name, but if you look for him on LinkedIn, you can look him up through Read to Lead, and also Jeff Brown. He's got a bunch of great posts on there. Okay, before we get to the last question about the book, you had a very unique way of meeting your wife, and I was there for it, which was awesome. I got to see it.
Yeah. I went on my one and only missions trip of my entire life. My wife's been on several. This was like her second or third one at the time, way back in 2000. And Reynosa, Mexico is where I found myself. And I had seen her 6 weeks earlier at a blood drive the radio station was doing. We had 2 corridors. You've been there, lined up with people. And in the commons area, there were gurneys and people taking blood. And I saw this woman in line, and I thought, wow, she's gorgeous. But I thought, well, she's obviously taken, I didn't think much more about it. And, I walked by enough times to recognize there was no ring on the finger. But I didn't get up the nerve to say anything, right? So that moment was gone. 6 weeks later, I'm in Brownsville, Texas, having just gotten off the bus or ready to cross the border. And the last bus of people who are going to go on this mission trip with the station pulls in. And there she is getting off the bus, that same person I'd seen 6 weeks earlier. And I thought, well, now I got a week to work up the nerve. And within, I said 2 days. She corrected me on that. She said it was like 2 hours. I was introducing myself. I thought it was more like a couple of days. But we hung out that week, and long story short, is a year later we were married. In fact, our 20th anniversary was last week.
Oh, congratulations!
Thanks.
Yeah. So that's amazing. How God does that. Yeah. It blew my mind.
I did not want to go on that trip at all. Somebody else had to drop out because of a surgery, and I was asked to take their place. The only reason I said yes is because I felt I had to. I had just started working at the station, and I didn't think I could say no. Had I not said yes to that, I probably wouldn't have lasted at the station very long, but I also wouldn't have met my wife.
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazy to think about, like, these coincidences in our lives.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question. Just share about the new book coming out and everything exciting about that. Read to Lead. You have yourself a copy right in front of you.
Yeah, it's what they call an advanced review copy, the only copy I have. I just found out yesterday that the real honest-to-goodness copy showed up at the publisher warehouse, so it's really happening. August 31st, it comes out, Read to Lead, the simple habit that expands your influence and boosts your career. And the first part of it is about, making a case for why this is a habit you need to cultivate. In case you're someone who hasn't been convinced of that yet, if you are, go right to part 2, and you'll learn about how to develop a reading habit and what you should be reading, depending on where you are in your career and your life. And the third section of the book is all about how to make the most of what you read, how to put it into action, how to take action on what you're reading, and how to read more in less time. So whether you're somebody who's a fan of personal professional development and you want to improve in that area or in reading in general, or you're a leader leading a team and you're hoping to instill a reading culture in your organization, then this might be a good book for you. So readtoleadbook.com. You can get it for 40% off up until August the 30th and $500 in free stuff. So I hope you'll check it out. Readtoleadbook.com.
That's awesome. And then it'll be available wherever books are sold online after
as
that?
well, yes. Yeah, anywhere you buy books after that, as well as readtoleadbook.com. But yeah, if you want to take advantage of that discount, that's where you go. Otherwise, Amazon or wherever you buy books.
That's cool, man. So a book on reading about learning how to read. Is this a Seinfeld episode? What are we doing?
It's kind of meta, isn't it? A book about books, yeah. A book about reading, yeah, that's exactly right.
I can't wait for the second book. It's probably going to be how to make your old books into a coffee table.
Just call me Kramer, yes.
Yeah.
Your next coffee table book.
Well, man, it was good catching up with you. We've been catching up a little bit over the past year. We have several commonalities in our career paths, and it's just neat to see how God is blessing you, how He's blessing me, and what we're doing now post radio, right? I guess I got a bonus question for you before we go. Do you remember the time that it took to get rid of the fear of missing out? Like, because you had, a radio career of 20 years and you were used to doing certain things, going to concerts, interacting with artists, doing this, doing that. And then that's all gone. You had to find new things to be passionate about, right?
Yeah. It's funny. The way it worked out for me, Todd, is my interest in the industry was honestly beginning to wane a little bit in the radio industry, in the sense that I had kind of felt like I'd done all the things I'd wanted to do. I'd accomplished most of what I'd wanted to accomplish. And I had begun having conversations with my wife about potentially leaving. And we even set a date for the end of 2013, December 31st. And that was like 9 months away. But part of that was because, I needed some time, but I also was scared to make the decision. And the further away I put the date, the better it felt. But then I got let go in June of that same year. And so my timetable of planning to leave got moved up by like 7 months. But again, mindset wise, I was already in that place of, hey, I think I want to move on and do something else. I just didn't know what that was going to be. But I feel like God knew I needed a shove, needed a push. Otherwise, I'm not sure I would have been brave enough to actually make the decision to do that. And He knew that.
Yeah. I think that happens with a lot of people as well. So
yeah.
Thanks for being vulnerable, man. Appreciate it. Good luck with the book launch.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And if you don't have not checked out Jeff, very inspirational. Follow him on LinkedIn and get on over to that website and get yourself a book copy for 40% off until August 30th.
Thank you, Todd.
All right, dude. Thanks. Go enjoy your festivities outside.
I will.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Good
Bye.
night.